All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the Hunterbiden indictment, or plea deal, rather. He, of course, is pleading guilty to 2 charges of tax fraud, rendered misdemeanors. I would note, in this particular case, it's rather funny. Donald Trump committed some misdemeanors over in New York, allegedly. He's been indicted by Alvin Bragg for that. And normally the crimes are misdemeanors, but he artificially upgraded them to felony charges. There's a reason for that. With Hunterbiden, what's normally felony charges are reduced back down to misdemeanor charges. Very interesting how that's the case. Also, as far as his little foible with lying on his gun form there, because he was a drug user, self-admittedly and provably at the time, and despite the fact that the prosecutor could have a slam dunk case because you have photographic evidence of him using crack cocaine around the time that he was buying the gun. We've literally got proof. You couldn't hope for a more slam dunk case than this anyway. Despite that, no attempt to really do anything. He'll get probation. Probation and a fine. Rules for thee, not for me. It is the dual system of justice in the United States, the injustice system in shorthand, on full display. The Parmesan cheese smoker, because his daddy is the then VP at the time that he was helping Joe commit his own crimes, which are still being investigated. Then screwy Citizen Joe, who had, by the way, a significant number of classified documents in his garage and elsewhere, and at the Chinese language Biden Center. Yeah, that's very telling. And so forth. Despite all of that, Hunter will get nothing. His daddy is the president of the United States. Well, the steward, but, he was selected, not elected, but that doesn't mean he didn't take office. It was literally taken for him. This is a distraction, though, I would caution people. It's interesting to see the dual injustice system in play is important for people. More people, as a result of this, will say, the system doesn't really seem to be working. Again, artificial reduction of charges, etc. The problem is that plea deals are the usual methodology by which criminal cases culminate in the United States. And for some reason, liberals are more focused on other aspects of defending the Biden crime family than using the most obvious argument, which is, hey, most of the time there's a plea deal. Because let's say you've got a slam dunk case against someone. You still have to go to court. You still have to sit there and do a fucking heap of boring paperwork. You're using taxpayer money for it. Taxpayers don't like to pay a lot of money, etc., etc. It wastes prosecutorial resources. So what you do is you try to prioritize, and if the person's crime is not an A1 priority, normally you shorten the process by simply giving them a plea deal. So yes, they burglarized a home, and they assaulted several people with a deadly weapon. So you've got them on aggravated burglary charges, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, etc., etc. But you say, look, you plead guilty to a couple of lesser includeds, simple assault and breaking and entering. So you're looking at misdemeanor charges. And maybe some jail time, fine, probation, community service. But you're not going to go to a supermax. That's typically how cases in the U.S. end. Why? Because the defendant wants to take a plea deal. The defendant does not have the time and resources to combat the prosecution because the prosecution can go as long as it wants. The prosecutor probably has coffee with the fucking judge. They certainly know your lawyers too. They may have a frenemy sort of thing going on. The entire system ultimately, while it's reckoned to be innocent until proven guilty, in practice it's the reverse. In practice, the fact that you're being prosecuted at all, the state already thinks you're guilty. Now, maybe it knows that you're innocent and it's gunning for you politically. There's certainly a lot of political prosecutions lately. Mostly it's because they think they have you dead to rights. But they would rather not put somebody in prison for extended period if they don't have to, because they would rather not spend the goddamn time, and they know that you don't want to either because you simply can't. The average person, their lawyer will be begging the state for a plea deal. So on that particular token, this is just a distraction. This is a fairly normal procedure. The problem is that it looks nepotistic. That's number one. You've got a politically connected individual involved. Number two, it effectively, Hunter Biden's plea deal is meant to do 2 things. First, see, he got probation, so the system works. that he got in trouble for his crimes. So you can't say that the system is dual. He got in trouble too. It's not just people who are political dissidents that get in trouble. Well, probation isn't exactly going to the penitentiary now, is it? Paying a fine, community service. Do you know how much money that Hunter Biden's helped Daddy make? He has no problem with his fine. He'll just make more of his shitty art, and he'll sell that and use it as a tax write-off as he donates a couple pieces or something like that. That's what he's been doing. Secondly, it's to try to stymie discussion of the actual meaningful things. I don't give a shit about Hunter Biden. I think that he's deranged. I think certainly he's the butt of every joke in private within his family because he was the one that got addicted to crack and did stupid shit like leave his laptop there to be requisitioned and given over to Roger Stone and Rudy Giuliani, etc. I think that it's more meaningful, though, that contents on his laptop, things that have been said, correspondence, and the connection to Joe Biden's crimes is much more important. I want to know about the big guy. I want to know why Joe Biden objectively, improvably, photographically indeed, lied to the American people saying he never met with people that we know he met with because we've got pictures and footage of him meeting with them with Hunter in attendance, pertinent to then ongoing business deals that he, as VP at the time, was not supposed to be communicating about in any more than an informal manner. Hey, how was your day? Oh, I sewed up the Brisbane deal. Oh, good job, son. I know you know literally nothing about the energy sector. It's wonderful that you're getting millions of dollars to serve as on the advisory board of a Ukrainian energy firm. That's not a conflict of interest, by the way, in current foreign policy either. That's what is meaningful. Hunter Biden has been a distraction this whole time. The only thing that's disgraceful about that is the dual system of justice. You've got people within politics who are outsiders. Book is thrown at them. They're never going to have their charges downgraded. To the liberals, can I also ask something else? And you may recall this, everyone. Don't you recall Maddow and the Trump tax returns and the perpetual investigation by, I believe it was Senate Judiciary into him? For years and years and years, we're going to get Trump on tax fraud. We've got to get those records. We're going to do everything in our power to get the records. We're going to get the IRS to send him over. We're going to pound him. And then we're going to put him in prison for the next 10,000 years. We'll give him consecutive life sentences effectively based on the fact that we think that he's a tax cheat. Well, Hunter Biden actually was, and he gets a slap on the wrist. That's very interesting. It's the same charge that you're querying on Trump for years and never managed to prove, by the way. How very strange. That's why they had to upgrade misdemeanor charges of business fraud, most of which in the end will end up being dropped for lack of evidence, by the way, in Bragg's case, to felonies in hopes that at least one of them sticks so that you can do something actionable and not look like a goddamn laughingstock in front of the American public. The other thing is they wanted to clear this case out now for the same reason that they're expediting the case now to August for Trump's charges. Why? Because they're interfering in the election. This is election interference, to be clear. Hunter Biden becomes a receding issue whenever it's brought up, even in the context of, hey, the stuff on the laptop pertinent to Joe Biden is meaningful. We don't care about Hunter. Liberals and Biden apologists will say, well, this is a dead issue. He already got his probation. What more do you want? No more double jeopardy. God damn it. We've got to have legal standards. Shut up. And by the way, Hunter Biden's penis. You're obsessed with it. Which is funny because the only people that I hear bringing that up in the context are people who are defending the Biden family. This is to make that problem go away in order to focus more on the Trump indictment. Why do you think the legacy media never talks about classified documents anymore? They talk about the Mar-a-Lago raid and the Trump indictment. They try to just mention the Trump indictment and leave it at that. Why? Because people noticed that Joe Biden also had a shit ton of classified documents he wasn't supposed to have, and he wasn't even president at the time he took them. So he had no declass authority of his own. That's what's going on here. Distraction, dual legal system on display, but don't get distracted by that because it was never really about Hunter Biden to begin with. It's always been about the big guy. That's about all. Peace out.